When you first came to the village, Jean, you said that you moved into your new house and Manor Farm was next door. But Manor Farm is not a farm anymore, so tell me what happened.
Well, I think it was probably when Mr. Munger died, and then Mr. Cox died quite young, actually. And I suppose, they needed to sell land to... if it wasn't going to be run as a farm, they needed an income, so I assume that was why. But we bought an extra bit of land off Mr. Munger because our fence went straight down. So we bought the bit where all the steps are and the yew tree is. And in the paddock next door, do you remember those cow byres with thatched roofs? Do you remember those?
I only have seen photographs.
Well, they were there then. And also, if they had any young lambs, were there, so we used to get little lambs poking their head through the fence. They had, I don't know, they often seemed to have an escape of little piglets, because you could look out your bedroom window some mornings and there were all these little pink pigs running down the road outside the gate. They had geese, which I don't like geese.
They're noisy.
I really well, they are. Yeah, I don't like the look. They don't like the look of me, and I don't like the look of that. I steer well clear. And across the road, of course, was Tetler's farm, which was a farm. We also had the moat. Now, apparently, the moat ran across the front where our front fence is. It's very damp down there, and it ends opposite where the traffic calming bollards are. It has dried. It used to be water in it, but it has dried up over the years. There have been times where there's been foxes breeding in there. There quite often been foxes in the bungalow garden. And that went out. Wonderful blackberries used to grow there. And
you still get flooded out the front, though, don't you?
Well, you did. You used to. They put you a culvert, didn't they?
Yes.
And it used to come right up our drive. You couldn't. I used to have stepping stones to get through the gate. So, I mean, we do have a high water table, and the fact that they keep putting us on hosepipe bans, it's a bit off. Yes.
Yes, very frustrating. Jean, I remember when I first came to the village, and you must know more about it, there used to be steam engines used to come for rallies and things.
Every year, still, Elaine. About July, I think, they go to Prestwood, where they have this big steam fair, and they all stop and blow the horn. I think they stop to, beer for them and water for the engines. They all stop at the Chandos. I've got some lovely photographs of those, actually. We also did, in the bad old days, have fox hunting. The hounds used to meet at the Chandos, and at that time it was totally enclosed with a privet hedge. You couldn't see much of the Chandos itself, but they all met in the top of West End with these dogs, hounds and horses.
I remember up until probably 70 something.
It was when Richard Tetley moved it stopped, I think, because he was probably Master Fox. Very colourful, very good. The kids loved it. What else did we have?
Well, your school days you've never mentioned. You didn't go to school in the village here.
No,
Tell me when you were
moved. Born. I was born in Akeley, but my mother died when I was very young, so I went the rounds of 3 aunts, her sisters. So I was in Leighton Buzzard at school, I was in Great Hoard at school, I was at Queen's Park at school, and then I finished up at the grammar school, and then we came here.
So the grammar school must have been very different then.
Oh, immensely different. I mean, I'm going to the 400th Old Aylesbury reunion this year, which is being held in July at the Holiday Inn. Now, the school, you would not... I mean, you get lost in it now. It used to be just the assembly hall and the classrooms built each side. And in there used to be a gymnasium, which now I don't know what they use it for now, but if they have events there, they often do refreshments there. And we were started off in a little row of almost like prefabricated classrooms, as juniors, new ones, on the side. And then as we got bigger, we went into the main building. But it was different. It was very different.
We must clarify this because we're talking about Aylesbury Grammar School.
That's right. I went in 1940 to 45. So the war had not totally ended. And when I left school, I went to work at Echo Radio down the Vista Road. Well, of course, great. As soon as the war was over, they packed up and went to Southend straight away. And I was not considered old enough to go to anywhere wicked like Southend. So I went to work for the Borough Surveyor, which is where I knew Mary Fitkin before she married, I can't think of his Christian name, Mr. Andrews, who was whatever. Yeah, it was on Pat's tape because she lived, of course, next door to where Pat lived. So I knew she was the town clerk secretary. Now, in those days, you see, you had a town clerk, you had aldermen, you had councillors, and you had to be on, because they came round and inspected you from time to time. You had to be on the ball. And at that time, there were still assizes held in Aylesbury. And I have, in fact, got the very last picture of the trumpeter on the steps of the county hall, blowing his trumpet as the mayor and the corporation came down from St Mary's Church. It was really, it's colourful in those, and of course nothing was pulled down then. Things were meant to last.
Yes.
And I hold this against them very much now.
So you knew Aylesbury when it was a little market town?
I knew old Aylesbury. It was lovely. It was really nice. And when we had slums, we had a slaughterhouse. But you didn't have to go round there if you didn't want to. And down by the station, which you wouldn't recognise Great Western Street, is where the bus station is now. That was a street. It had shops, and it had a big Victorian hotel, the Railway Hotel, which was very plushy. You know, it got garbles and everything. So Aylesbury was a nice little town, it was. And you could walk from where I lived in Limes Avenue right across the Bedgrove estate, which were fields, out onto the Wendover estate. No problem. It was, things have so changed.